Welcome to Iraqi Dinar News, where you receive real and authentic updates about the Iraqi Dinar. If you want to stay informed with moment-by-moment developments, make sure to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Today's discussion comes from a perspective that many long-term Iraqi dinar holders will find familiar on a personal level, but it also opens the door to a broader and more important financial conversation. The statement we're analyzing reflects a common experience among investors who have held Iraqi dinar for many years, often quietly, sometimes even privately, due to skepticism from friends, family, or peers. It highlights belief, patience, doubt, and the expectation, sometimes the hope, of a significant currency revaluation that could dramatically increase the value of their holdings. From a financial analysis standpoint, it's important to separate emotion and personal conviction from economic fundamentals. The Iraqi dinar has been a topic of interest for many years, particularly among retail investors outside Iraq, largely due to the idea that a future revaluation could lead to substantial gains. However, when evaluating any currency, especially one like the Iraqi dinar, we must ground our understanding in macroeconomic realities, monetary policy, and the structural framework of the country's economy. First, let's address the psychological and social aspect mentioned in the statement. It's not uncommon for unconventional or speculative investments to face skepticism. Historically, individuals who invest in niche or misunderstood markets often encounter resistance or doubt from those around them. This does not automatically validate or invalidate the investment itself, but it does highlight the importance of relying on credible data rather than social sentiment. In financial markets, confidence should be built on evidence, not isolation or secrecy. Now, focusing on the Iraqi dinar itself, Iraq operates under a managed exchange rate system. The value of the dinar is largely influenced by the policies of the Central Bank of Iraq, which aims to maintain monetary stability, control inflation, and support the broader economy. The country is heavily dependent on oil revenues, which account for the majority of government income. This means that global oil prices, production levels, and export capacity play a critical role in shaping Iraq's fiscal health and indirectly its currency stability. In the short term, the Iraqi dinar is not typically subject to sudden, dramatic revaluations. Central banks rarely implement large, overnight currency increases because such moves can destabilize the economy, disrupt trade balances, and create inflationary or deflationary pressures. Instead, any changes in currency value tend to be gradual and carefully managed. The belief expressed in the statement that a relatively small investment could turn into hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars reflects a narrative that has circulated for years in certain investor communities. However, from an economic perspective, such outcomes would require an extraordinary shift in Iraq's monetary policy, foreign reserves, GDP strength, and overall economic structure. It would also require alignment with international financial systems and sustained economic growth at a scale that supports a significantly stronger currency. Looking at Iraq's current economic trajectory, there have been improvements in some areas. The country has made progress in stabilizing its banking sector, increasing transparency in financial transactions, and strengthening relationships with international financial institutions. Oil revenues have also provided periods of fiscal relief, particularly when global prices are high. These factors contribute positively to economic stability, which is essential for any currency. However, there are still structural challenges. Iraq continues to face issues related to political stability, infrastructure development, diversification away from oil dependency, and public sector reform. These are long-term challenges that require sustained policy efforts. Currency strength is not just a reflection of potential or resources, it is a reflection of consistent economic performance, institutional strength, and investor confidence over time. In the short term, what does this mean for Iraqi dinar followers? It means expectations should remain grounded. The dinar may experience adjustments based on economic conditions, but these are likely to be measured and aligned with policy objectives rather than sudden windfalls. Investors should pay close attention to indicators such as central bank announcements, foreign reserve levels, inflation rates, and oil market trends. In the long term, the outlook depends on Iraq's ability to diversify its economy, strengthen governance, and maintain financial discipline. If Iraq continues to implement reforms, improve its investment climate, and integrate more deeply into the global economy, the dinar could benefit from increased stability and gradual appreciation. However, this is a process measured in years, not sudden events. Another key point to consider is the difference between speculation and investment. Holding a currency like the Iraqi dinar based on the expectation of a dramatic revaluation falls into a speculative category. This does not mean it is inherently wrong, but it does mean it carries uncertainty and risk. Responsible financial decision-making involves understanding those risks and avoiding reliance on outcomes that are not supported by economic fundamentals. The personal story in the statement also highlights a long holding period, 15 years. This is significant because it demonstrates patience, but it also raises an important question about opportunity cost. Over the same period, global financial markets have offered various investment opportunities with measurable returns, including equities, bonds, and diversified portfolios. Evaluating any investment should include consideration of what alternative returns could have been achieved. It's also worth noting that secrecy around an investment, as mentioned in the statement, can sometimes stem from uncertainty or fear of criticism. In professional financial environments, transparency and informed discussion are encouraged because they lead to better decision-making. Engaging with credible sources, financial advisors, and economic data is always more beneficial than relying solely on private belief. For those following Iraqi dinar developments today, the most constructive approach is to stay informed through verified sources, understand the economic context, and maintain realistic expectations. Monitor policy changes from the Central Bank of Iraq, track oil market trends, and pay attention to international financial relationships. These are the factors that genuinely influence the currency's direction. In conclusion, the narrative we've analyzed reflects a deeply human aspect of investing: belief, patience, and sometimes isolation. But when we step back and apply a financial lens, the key takeaway is the importance of grounding expectations in economic reality. The Iraqi dinar's future will be shaped by policy decisions, economic reforms, and global market conditions, not by speculation alone. If you're holding Iraqi dinar, it's essential to view it as part of a broader financial perspective, not as a guaranteed path to extraordinary returns. Stay informed, stay balanced, and always prioritize evidence over assumption. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for responsible and factual Iraqi dinar updates. And remember that this content is for informational purposes only and not financial advice.